my bigger point is that she has this giant posse, and they all, like, the majority, like, one is on lookout and the rest of them all go inside, as opposed to having like 5 people on lookout and 2 people to break inside, because they need the girl Lourdes, right, from the comic shop. Like, they need her because she's able to pick locks. Cool. But everyone else who comes in is just like an extra flashlight to be seen from outside.
Yeah.
So I messaged you, that's a big group for some B&E.
Yeah, like I was like, wow, they really like Ocean's 11, or they tried to Ocean's 11 this with like the worst way possible, because they're all making so much noise.
Yeah, it's like if you tried to have everyone in the party be Rusty.
Yeah.
And have no one else to do any of the other jobs. Everyone, and welcome back to the Men of Steel podcast. I'm Case Aiken, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jmike Volson.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. This is an episode we have been talking about for a long time internally, because today we are going to dig into that Brian Michael Bendis property from 2019 that somehow got a TV show greenlit immediately following. That is... We are talking today about Naomi. Specifically, we're talking about season 1 of the comic, and we are talking about the pilot of the TV show. And to have that conversation, we're not joined by anyone, because this has been on Jmike's bucket list, and we're finally having this conversation. So why don't we open the conversation with Jmike? What the hell are we talking about today?
Okay, so like Kay said, this has been on my bucket list for a while, because way back in the crazy year of 2020, DC was having its like big event for its shows and movies coming out for the near future. And I think we were watching it, because I think we were messaging back and forth about it. And I saw a trailer that I was very confused by. And it was about this girl who was in class, and she just runs out because she hears that, or she gets a message that Superman is in town fighting some bad guy. And she runs to the class. She gets like halfway to the town square, and then she like has an asthma attack and passes out. And I was like, what even is this? And it like says Naomi. And everyone was like, oh, clapping, or like virtually clapping, because everyone was in like the chats and things. And I was like, I'm very confused, but also kind of intrigued. So I did a little research online. I came across her first arc for the Wonder Comic series. And I was like, huh, interesting. And I was like, Case, we should probably talk about this one day. And he was like, yep, we sure will.
And hey, we are.
5 years later.
It hasn't been 5 years, but it has been a number of years of us talking about it. And part of that was that when the show was coming out, we're bad about doing TV shows live. Like we tried to do Superman and Lois live, and like we did season 1, and then we just like completely dropped the ball.
Yeah. And now it's over, so we're eventually going to have to go back and talk about that.
Yeah, I know. Yes. I want to talk to Michael Bailey, who is a Superman podcaster who did a ton of coverage on Superman Lois about that one specifically. But let's circle back to what the hell Naomi is. Jmike, for listeners at home who's not familiar with your experience of it or why we're looking at this, what is just like the basic synopsis? Like what's the elevator pitch of this?
Okay, I'm gonna go with my personal favorite version of this story, which is the comic version, and we'll get into the other version later. But in the comic verse, Naomi is this ordinary teenager. Nothing stands out about her. She's just an ordinary kid from Oregon who's from a town that nothing exciting ever happens in, except that she's like a huge Superman fan, because they have this one thing in common, that they're both adopted. And so like she's doing her normal thing. She's a normal kid, goes to school, works a little 9-to-5 job after work or after school, She's very bad at what she does because she's an average U.S. teenager. And then Superman has this huge fight in town, which kind of sparks her interest in like trying to figure out like where she comes from, who she actually is, who her birth parents are, which starts her down this huge road of discovery that culminates with her parents being like, surprise, you're not from Earth? Ta-da!
Culminates is a good way to say that because there's a lot of time spent getting to that point.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I enjoyed the ride. So it's a fun like coming of age, like new character story for DC, which they haven't really had in a long time. And so you get to like see everything happening with Naomi and her little group of friends, her best friend, what's her name? Annabelle. Yeah. And their little quirky relationship and everything that goes on in the town together. I laughed, I cried, it moved me, Case.
Yeah, and that seems to be pretty close to what overall happens in the show, but the show is remarkably clunkier. I'd like
the show like at every like cause going back and forth because I rewatched it because I was like it's kind of unfair to have Kate watch this catastrophe and not go back and rewatch it too, and then I reread the book again and I was like you can tell in the show where they try to take inspiration from the book, but they did it in like the most clunky way possible.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about the comic first, and then we'll get into the show. But I was surprised. Consider one thing I will say for the comic is that it feels like it is very much written to be a pilot for a teen TV show on the CW. Like surprise. And that turned into a teen TV show on the CW. And I would say that I was surprised looking at the pilot, which is done fairly cinematically.
Yeah.
Or rather, the comic series is done fairly cinematically. And it doesn't translate to the show.
No.
Because they do several things in the show that are head scratching. And many of them are changing the perspective of how we get to like... Basically, everything becomes like refocused on Naomi in a way that I find frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say before we get into this too much, I think that the comic is an enjoyable enough ride with a lot of big asterisks on that. But the show I was not a fan of.
No.
And it makes sense that it was canceled after one season of only 13 episodes. It was canceled
halfway through. They just kind of like decided to like give it the rest of the time off. That was like, ooh. Like they didn't wait to finish the season. They kind of canceled it halfway through the season and like let the rest of the episodes play out and like dropped it. And I was like, well then, I can see how that happened.
No. And look, I'm usually not here to just vent about a work that is not particularly strong. But this one is extremely on the nose as far as the Superman analog comparisons go.
Yeah.
So it's certainly worthwhile for us to discuss. In both the TV show and the comic, it does revolve around the scenario where this child is very much like Superman, an orphan of a different world on this Earth with powers and abilities far, far, far beyond mortal man. Naomi's power set is pretty high up there in all versions.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a worthwhile character to say is a Superman analog, just in terms of raw power. And I think that combined with the fact that the origin is intentionally aping Superman's origin makes this pretty 1-to-1 in terms of conversations about like a Superman analog type.
So because like she's like, oh my gosh, I want to be like Superman because he's adopted and I'm adopted and we have a connection there. And I was like, all right, cool. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, okay. So why don't we start with our conversation about the comic and focus on that for the moment. My experience with Naomi is different than yours. I was not paying attention. I am usually not as big of a fan of like looking at the upcoming like listings type of thing. I used to be, but it just got to be hard for me to like keep up with it all. And
I wasn't, but this one just felt so weird. I was like, I kind of want to know more.
Sure. I'm just saying that, like, I wasn't aware of this character until she showed up in the Superman books. She immediately crosses over. I believe it's like the same month as the last issue drops. She like pops in to the Superman story that was running at the time, and then proceeds to pop up around the DC Comics because Brian Michael Bendis was writing a bunch of different things, and every single book he touched, she followed. It was very much a heavy-handed push for this new character, which is not by itself a terrible thing, but it certainly was a heavy-handed push for a new character.
I mean, because she ends up like running with the Titans and running with the Justice League a couple times.
Yeah, she runs with the Justice League within like 2 years of coming out.
And I was like, hey, all right, they're really putting her out there.
Yeah.
Okay, good for you, girl.
And here's what I will say about that. This is the most Brian Michael Bendis of Brian Michael Bendis comics that I could have imagined.
Oh, yeah.
Now look, I have said that I have had problems with Brian Michael Bendis before on the podcast. This is very much true with this comic. It benefits from a few things, one of which is that I read it after it had already come out, so it was already collected into trade paperback form the first time I read this, because it reads better as a complete story, and I cannot imagine reading this book issue by issue.
Oh, week to week?
Month to month.
No, I got the arc. I got the whole arc when I first saw it free, or first saw it being able to buy, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll check it out.
Yeah, because this is a very decompressed story. Like, I don't want us to waste our time going through issue by issue, because the fucking events of each issue are not very much, which is generally a problem I have with Brian Michael Bendis material. So that's in full effect here. Then you get into the other tropes of Brian Michael Bendis stuff. Not that these are necessarily bad tropes, but the fact that the character is adopted and that the parents are of different ethnicity than the adoptee are both Brian Michael Bendis tropes, because in real life, Brian Michael Bendis is the adopted father of, I believe, 2 girls of color. And again, these are good, but it's very autobiographical in that regard.
Yeah.
Then you get into the fact that the story, let's be honest here, at maximum, this story should have been 3 issues. At maximum, it's 6. I would argue
you definitely cut out some things.
I would argue that this could have been 2 very easily. And honestly, if this was like the 90s or before, this would have been 1 issue.
Huh.
It is so decompressed. Like what actually happens? I mean, like, consider this. We don't see Naomi's superhero form until the 5th issue of the story.
Yeah, it's at the end. It's the whole thing of trying to actually figure out all this other stuff going on. And I was like, all right, cool. And then we get the revelation that like her dad's an alien. You're like, oh.
Well, yeah. So there's a lot of bait and switches going on in this book. So the initial bait and switch is that there is this guy who appears to just be kind of watching Naomi.
Yeah.
Who's really weird looking. He's huge and he's covered with tattoos and he's bald. And it turns out he's a Thanagarian.
Yay!
Which I thought you would appreciate.
I'm all for more Thanagarians in here.
I have some interesting questions about it and the timelines that play out in this all. But so he's a bait and switch because he actually doesn't have really anything to do with her, aside from the fact that he happened to be aware of when she was first adopted. So he doesn't really have like a big role to play in the comic. His role is much more amplified in the show.
There's like the whole scene where she breaks into his shop or in his shop because he's a mechanic in the comic.
Yes.
And so like late night, she breaks into his shop and is like going through his things because he looks suspicious to her and she wants to find out more. And then she finds like the picture of him and his wife. And then she's like, who is this? Who are you? Are you my dad? And he's like, whoa, wait a second. Is this my mom? Where do I come from? And he's like, I don't understand what's happening here. Please leave my house.
Yeah, I mean, but those are such bait and switches going on there with the fact that his ex-lover looks just like Naomi, even though they're not connected characters at all. Like
at all.
It's just there to sort of, fuck with you, the reader. And then the next part of this all is that her adopted parents take her to a cave and reveal
the Bat Cave,
a rocket ship. And it's like, is this where I come from? No, hun, this is where I come from, says the dad.
This is my ship. This is all me.
And it's revealed that he's Iranian. Just to space that one out there. A person from Ran. And I was like, where is that? Where is that? I had never heard them before. Really? So this is where the timetable for this book gets really interesting. So this book, as it's written, feels like it takes place like 15 years into like the DC universe being like a real thing. And one of those areas where it feels like 15-ish years into the future, or I guess 17-ish years, because like the Ran. So the Ran Thanagar War is a more modern concept. Ran is this world that the character Adam Strange, who is a human, gets teleported to and has like sci-fi adventures with. And
the dad does name drop a lot.
Yes, Adam Strange gets mentioned quite a bit. and Ran got teleported because Ran is where the Zeta beam technology comes from. Ran gets teleported to the same solar system as Thanagar in like the 2000s. It's like Geoff Johns' Green Lantern run. Or like around that time. And that creates the story of the Ran Thanagar War. So prior to that, they don't have this big tradition of being at war with each other. I mean, the Thanagarians are bellicose by nature. So it's not, wildly wild that these two wouldn't like each other directly, because the Thanagarians are typically warlike people who are aggressors in most conflicts that they're in. But it's interesting that particular juxtaposition right there, the fact that it's Iranian and a Thanagarian is a more modern kind of component of the oppositional space politics. It's not like the Kree Skrull from like Marvel, who have this like ancient tradition of hating each other.
I was like, oh, cool. I've never heard of these guys before.
Well,
Case would probably know more than me.
Anyway, well, yeah. Anyway, so this all gets revealed that the dad is actually an alien himself, and that the weird part is that having two aliens living in this quiet little town in Oregon, they both get tipped off when this like extra dimensional thing occurs, and they like arrive at the spot where a woman flees from a bunch of soldiers with a baby, and she dies, and they like kill the soldiers, and they have the baby all of a sudden. And that's Naomi. And so that's where she pops into this whole situation. And then we get the straight up like Superman, like Jor-El rocket thing by way of this like crystal that like connects her with her mom, her dead mom, and who goes on to explain all the stuff you would kind of expect about Superman, but then it's like through the lens of this other world, which is, I actually have to I enjoy this like other multiversal world that they set up. Yeah. This other Earth is like kind of fun. It makes me think of Rising Stars, in that all the people of this alternate reality, not all the people, pardon me, like 27 people from this alternate reality get superpowers, and they duke it out, and there's only like a few people left at the end of the whole story, but all of their powers are like in this like godlike tier, like they're Superman-esque across the board. So Naomi is the biological child of two of these like super beings from this other world that is supposed to be very much like our Earth prior to 17 years ago. Some handful of people got superpowers. And because she's the only biological child to occur from any of them, the biggest douchebag of them,
was it
Zumbada?
Zumbado, whatever his name is.
He's like, well, I can't have that because I'm trying to assert the fact that I'm the most powerful and that I should rule the Earth. So he's the one who sends his troops to like try to kill her, and has been waiting to hunt her down ever since. And Naomi like goes off and explains this all to her best friend, and then while she's like trying to manifest her powers, he comes through a portal. He's like, I've been waiting for your power signature to flare up so that I could lock in on you. And he takes her to this alternate Earth, and I think he's trying to like feel her out to see if she is a worthwhile, like if she could be an ally, if she could be a tool, a weapon for him, or if he has to kill her. But she reveals that she knows, because of the memory download from her mom, who he is. And so he's like gonna chase her back into her reality. And the one action beat of this entire 6-issue series, or not the only action beat period, but like the only action beat that Naomi's actually involved in, is that the Zumbada dude tries to follow her through a portal and she punches him back.
Well, yeah, that, and like her mom's friend comes and like saves her butt.
Well, yes. There's more. She has allies on the other side there as well. But the frustrating point for me is that she only this is the only time she does anything in the entire book aside from just like snooping about.
I was like, it's an origin story. It's whatever. Getting to like see her character come into her own. I was like, all right, cool. It's an interesting little concept. I was like, it's one of their only times they actually try to go through like making a new character and letting them do new things in a long time. So I was like, cool.
I appreciate all of that. And like I said, in the trade, this is not that bad because
but individually?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Individually. Fuck, man. I don't know how you get to issue 5.
Don't know. I guess they were like, it's more's coming.
Like, I could see being intrigued by the first issue. There's an interesting world being set up here, despite the fact that the DCU seems to be like a little bit older than it should be. Like, just that, everyone's been doing their thing for so long.
Yeah.
And it all, which is just part of the sliding time scale, making it difficult. But the first issue is like kind of interesting because you're like, who is this weird dude that she's trying to study? How does she know his name? like I get that it's a tiny town and like maybe the mechanic she would know. If he was a different profession, I don't know if she would just immediately know the dude's first name. Like why would she know someone who's a tattoo artist? I don't know. That just seemed weird to me.
He's a mechanic, Case. He's a mechanic.
The mechanic part at least is like, well, probably she's had to take her car to him at some point.
Yeah.
Like,
or she like runs into him at the grocery store or something. To me, her mom is the MVP of this entire series so far.
Yeah, her mom, who is just a regular human.
Yeah, her mom's just a regular chick. Like, she's like, oh, okay, cool. She always wanted kids, and she finally got her chance to have a kid. And now she beats up people with baseball bats if they get too close to her daughter at 2:00 in the morning. Which is totally a thing that happens.
Yep.
Because Naomi is very much just reaching for straws most of the book, and she walks into this dude's house at midnight basically and goes through his stuff.
Right. And then turns out like this, it's sort of a weird way to play it because she overplays her hand pretty fast where it's like, oh yeah, D, you were supposed to keep this all secret from her. But they are about to reveal everything to Naomi anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
So like I said, I think that overall this is all fine, except it's just way too fucking long for the parts that, and all of the pacing issues with it are ones where I'm like, this would work fine on a CW show with a limited budget, so you can't do the special effects stuff first.
Wait, did it happen, Case?
So so watching, like looking at this comic, the whole time I'm just like, man, this is a really decompressed story. Like they're really spending their time just on dialogue and camera movement and a lot of stuff like that. And that's not, what you're here for a comic book for. Like you would expect a little bit more action. You would expect the character to be in her costume, at least within the first 3 issues, right? Like fucking 5 issues in, and at the end of it, she's like in costume. Like that's a lot, but okay. All right. You would like it. Brian Michael Bendis is known for doing decompressed stories. Like infamously, they announced the 6-issue Ultimate 6 story arc, and then it had to be 7 because he just couldn't get it all in 6 issues for some fucking
reason.
Like his new Avengers arc, I checked out because I literally read an issue where they started the issue and ended the issue at the exact same beat, and I was like, I'm done. This
is not for me.
This issue didn't mean anything. It could have not happened and I would have been fine. No more. But I've liked Powers. I liked his Mighty Avengers run. Like I do like I read through his Superman stuff and enjoyed much of it. Like there are choices, like the fact that this is happening concurrently with Jonathan being aged up, which was, not a great choice.
No.
I think that there were
Super
factors outside. Yes, Super Sons. Yeah. We should talk about that animated series or the animated movie at some point soon. Yeah. We should make that happen. But to stay on Naomi, like, gotta talk about Campbell's art. It looks really good. Like the whole book is good. Fucking gorgeous. So it looks really good. The dialogue is very Brian Michael Bendis, but it's not the worst example of Brian Michael Bendis, because most of the characters who are talking are appropriate to talk in Brian Michael Bendis ways.
Yeah.
It's not a scenario where like a character really should have a different diction than that. These all work fine here. So I wasn't too stressed about that. I really like the fact that they named Naomi after Dwayne McDuffie. I think that's a good thing there. I think that there's a lot of reasons why you should like the first trade of this, but it certainly makes sense that it's
not amazing.
Right.
It's a fun story.
Yeah.
It's a fun, like, quirky story to read.
It just takes so long to get there, and then doesn't like really have a bunch of action beats. Like if Naomi, if the last issue had like a bit of a fight between Naomi and the dude, like it would be a different story. But she doesn't. She has one hit.
Yes, so she gets slapped around for a couple of panels, and then she has the one hit at the end.
Right. It's just very lopsided in terms of how much story we really do. And I think it was overestimated that we would find the story of like who her parents are. Like I think it was assumed that would be a more compelling narrative, and it might be for people who are adopted and are really looking for this kind of material. I don't want to discount life experiences that are not mine on this one. It just seems like she is making a bunch of leaps of logic to ask about these people, specifically D. Like he doesn't really seem that connected to her, and then she, fortunately, he happens to know a bunch of stuff about her.
Could you imagine if he didn't?
Right, it would just be so weird. Like,
like, little girl, why are you in my house at 2:00 in the morning? Please leave. And he has anxiety issues, so she's like hammering him with questions, and he doesn't know how to properly respond to her.
But I mean, like, I could, like, Christ, man, I told you I don't want to just like do another pass at this one, but issue 5, where she's like explaining everything to Annabelle, like that is a perfect in media res. Like, if you wanted to get this down to 3 issues, have the middle issue be her explaining everything to Annabelle, and you can just like kind of like speed past some of the issues that don't really matter. She catches you up on basically everything. Like, you honestly could jump in with issue 5 and not have missed anything, which is bad.
Well, I mean, we're not taking it back. We're not going to another pass this case.
I know. I'm just saying that like all it requires is her to explain it to her friends, or friend, I should say.
Yeah.
And it would be a perfectly sufficient like way to like speed through a whole bunch of this narrative.
Yeah, that could be the intro to the entire story right there. You start off with her going, "Hey, come here, meet me at this place at like 2:00 in the morning," and her friend shows up and she goes through the entire list of events that happen.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to like put in a bunch of stuff from issue 1 and 2 in your first issue where like she's asking questions about it all, like that would be perfectly fine choices. Yeah. It's just they spend so much fucking time on this, and there's so many pages where it's like a bunch of people just talking about nothing.
Oh yeah, he was here for a while and he flew away. I didn't see anything. Well, I was like, all right, cool, moving on. Come on, next thing. Which, I mean, it's for what it is. I had fun with it for what it is. It's a different telling of an origin story for what it is. And I was like, it's fun. It's quirky.
Yeah. Also, I do want to note that I was coming in because I knew where she's like, because I was coming in from being introduced to her in her crossover in Superman.
Yeah.
I knew that she was going to end up as a super powered being. I think if you came into this book not aware like where it was going, and it was just a book called Naomi, and it was a investigation into the weird upbringing of this character, that would be a different story. And I don't know how I would picture this. I do know that the mystery is not enough to keep me going. If I
it's not that big of
yeah,
it's not like some big overarching mystery thing.
It's literally the classic Superman thing, and it's just like, well, how many twists can Brian Michael Bendis put using DC lore?
Well, yeah, because the big MacGuffin is the cube. I keep thinking of that stupid Transformers movie, but it really is just Superman.
Now, then the character goes on to have adventures with Young Justice, to become a member of the Justice League in very short order, and to be sort of nominated to be like the new most important person of all time for as long as Brian Michael Bendis is the hot new thing at DC. And when that dries up, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen her since.
Well, because she's around with the Teen Titans and occasionally off with, I don't know if it's JLI or JLA. She's just doing her own thing.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not that I have a problem with her making the Justice League that fast. It is surprising, but my problem is that it just seems like a character who was foisted very, very briefly to be the hot new thing, and then kind of they sort of didn't have the energy to keep it going, so they like pushed really hard and then kind of like fell
back on it.
Yeah. And I think it was a bit aggressive. I think like she should have spent more time with like the young heroes, and that could have been a place to like really build her like fandom.
Yeah.
JLA it's a hard, like I get it that Bendis was writing JLA, but like that's a hard book to like sell that, like why that character matters that much.
Keep her on the Teen Titans like you should do with Cyborg. How do we, what? That's crazy. Cyborg belongs to the Teen Titans? Who would have thought?
I mean, Cyborg can be a member of the Justice League. It's just weird when he's a founding member.
Yeah, he could be reserved on the JLI. Yeah, I would have definitely kept her on the Titans for as long as possible and let her build camaraderie with them.
Yeah, or Young Justice, like either one is good in that front. Because like again, she's a cool character from a design standpoint. I like her overall look. She's got this like braided hair in the comic. She's got like really long braids in the show, and this sort of like black and gold like armor design, and then this like very golden energy effect. Yeah, which is all very cool.
Looks really cool. Like Kay said earlier, like the book is drawn magnificently. It looks
I know
beautiful.
It's so
it looks
gorgeous.
So beautiful.
Like in and the panels are interesting. Like they do like these like big widescreens with like multiple like very wide panels, like to show like the passage of time for things. And they have like a lot of like really well done digital art.
It's really pretty.
Yeah. I like the way D as a Thanagarian has like these cool yellow eyes to his design.
Yeah.
I like pretty most of the energy effects in this book look really good. I think that the main baddie dude has a really cool look to him with like the smoking mouth and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, is that his hair? No, that's him breathing fire. Oh.
Yeah. Like
that's pretty cool.
The art is top tier.
Like the invasion point where her mom comes through and they're chasing her through. I was like, that looks awesome. When D and the dad go to the football field and they come bursting through the sky, I was like, oh, that looks pretty freaking cool. That looks pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The story it is rad. It could be trimmed down quite a bit.
It's pretty basic, and it's not doing a lot of things. Like, it's a lot of twists that are sort of like, you think this, but it's actually this. Kind of twist that doesn't actually change like the bigger scope of it all, because she's still ultimately a multiversal orphan who on this earth has powers and abilities far beyond the mortal men. Like, she's very much doing a Superman riff. It's just that it's like, oh, well, but one of her adopted parents is actually an alien hiding out on Earth. And she's got a dude who she just knows who is pretending to be a mechanic who's also an alien hiding out on Earth. And
an extra bodyguard watching over her from a distance.
Right. Yes. Which is why I find D just like this weird misdirect in the comic. Like he's just there to waste our fucking time.
He's not wasting our time, Case. He's there for He's there. He's there for a specific reason they really haven't given us yet. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't read the second arc yet, so maybe he has a purpose there.
Well, either way, like the opening arc for this is doing this decompressed Superman story, which, you know, to be fair, like Bendis is best known for giving us decompressed Spider-Man. So like it's not a terrible choice there. And like I said, the book looks great. The character has potential, but I think it was really hurt by the show, because we should start talking about the show, because Jesus really? Christ, what a piece of shit.
It was hurt by the show?
Oh
my gosh.
like I think that the show getting canceled as hardcore as it did, especially after it was like kind of weird that it just came out as a thing. Like, it is clear that this comic book was greenlit with the pilot for the show being greenlit before the comic came out, and before there was any fan response. Like, this was clearly a property that was developed behind the scenes beforehand, and like it makes me think of like 30 Days of Night or whatever the comic is that became the movie of the same name, where the comic was created just so that there was a comic for the movie to be an adaptation of.
That's so dumb.
Well, and or the way it used to work with books all the time, like Vertigo, Vertigo, classic Hitchcock movie based on a book that was written specifically to be, because it was basically written as a spiritual sequel to a book that Hitchcock wanted to make the movie of, but that rights got like handed off to someone else. And at the time they couldn't just make a new movie. It had to be an adaptation of a book, because that's how they did movies back then. No, specifically it was like a window of like 10 years where like adaptations were all the rage for their dramas, as opposed to like original IP. Not that we don't know anything about that.
What are you talking about, Case?
Anyway, yeah, no. So this show did horribly, and I think that helped kill the character in people's pop culture consciousness. Because wow. All right, I'm bringing up the notes. So I swear that last night was not my first time watching it, but
listeners, I must say this. Case was watching this again, and he's live texting me while he's watching this. Mind you, I'm rolling on the ground because I was dying to see what he was going to say about this show. So I'm cackling while I'm reading this stuff.
Yeah, so it opens. I don't mind the party scene. I think that it overall is fine. It's just, but it introduces this weird detail of the fucking show that I can't wrap my head around, which is Superman a real thing?
Yeah, that was like, they were like, oh, but he's not real. I'm like, wait, everybody knows about Superman, but like this kid's like, but he's not real. And I was like, wait a second.
and this creates so many things. So first of all, so it's revealed that Superman is real, and that's a thing about the show. But it's a weird world where like Superman isn't like a big public figure, but
which is weird.
But in this reality, Naomi has quote unquote the third largest Superman site in the world, which
exactly
apparently makes her popular in high school, which is strange because that doesn't make sense. And also, why would this random teenage girl have the third largest Superman site in the world? Like,
no one knows.
I'm not even being like a gatekeepy, like fake fan kind of thing here. Like, she's like fucking 16 in this. Like, how has she amassed that amount of like Superman fandom?
How does she get the footage and all this other stuff? Is she like paying people online to get the footage from them? Because once again, she lives in Oregon, like the middle of nowhere, Oregon, where apparently she lives next to a military base, which by the way, they kind of switched up to her parents. Like her dad's a military captain or whatever. Her mom's a lawyer in the show, which kind of like throws off a lot of the feeling for it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they keep like yeah. So they remove the double fake out of the parents also being aliens, if I understand how the show goes.
Yeah.
And it's just D, and D gets upgraded to being a full-on mentor character for her.
Yeah.
Man, let's talk about D for a second. I fucking hate this D. he like
because you weren't a fan of him to begin with, but now you're like, I hate him.
Like D, the character in the comic book, is at least like vaguely interesting looking. D, the character on the show, they like dress head to toe in like leather, and which I have to assume is a way for them to save money on makeup of like putting all the fake tattoos on him. Like the actor is like a totally weird choice. Not that that's the end of the world on this one, no. but he just doesn't like really seem that interesting. And then in the pilot, he's like, "You're just not asking the right questions. You're just not asking the right questions. What is the question, Naomi? What is the question
you ask?"
like
what is happening?
I made so many Simpsons like allusions in my head because this felt like, so why did I have the bowl, Bart? Why did I have the bowl?
Oh, what's the right question? You just aren't asking the right questions.
Right. So that's a bunch of lame that's going on in there. I appreciate that the comic actually had the restraint of having a Thanagarian not have wings. Yeah. The fact that they had to put it in the TV show, I get it. Like, it's one of the few things that you're going to be able to like.
The cat, like the oh snap moments when he reveals, right, like, my wings are out.
Yeah. But you know, like the Thanagarians, like the wings are artificial. They just like put them on. Like they don't have wings.
And so I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Once again, like I was laughing when I first saw this because, well, when I watched this, I think it was like 3 years ago I first watched this. Yeah, I think it was because I had to watch it on the CW app first, and I just went ahead and bought the first episode off of Google Play because the CW app was trash. And so I was laughing because, like, in the first, I wanted to say 10 minutes of the show, like, half of the school is in love with Naomi. Like, everyone's kind of, like, fawning over her.
The whole goddamn class is in love with Naomi. She's, like, the most popular girl in school. Like, which is not by itself that bad. Like we have a fierce debate online about her being something of a, I hate to use this expression, but everyone has used this expression. And most of the people have prefaced with, I hate to use this expression. She's a Mary Sue.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can see where they're coming from that.
Yeah.
Because they literally make her perfect in this show. She is the best at everything.
Including skateboarding.
Yeah. I was like, why did they add the skateboarding thing? I mean, it's a cool thing for the show, I guess, but like it was kind of unnecessary. But like they do it in the weirdest moments because at one point in the show, she's supposed to be sneaking around at night, taking pictures of all the cameras, and she's very loudly skateboarding around the town square at midnight. So like if anybody was like curious as to what she's doing, she's not really hiding or being quiet or stealthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the entire school is in love with this chick.
Yeah, like
she's perfect.
Like you complain about that to me, and my response to you was, I can see that, and I'm only 10 minutes in. Like she's like she is the helping everyone with their study. She's like a perfect student. She's like extremely popular. She is on the debate team and like crushing it. She runs the third most popular Superman site in the world. And that is a thing that they boast about
all the time.
In a world where Superman exists, I can see that you would be cool about that kind of thing. Like, in a world where Superman doesn't exist, you're me. And I can tell you, I was not cool in high school.
You're a cool person, Case. I think you're cool.
Aw, thanks, but like...
He didn't have to say it like that.
Well, and also the fact that she's so good at having a Superman site and is able just to do that in addition to all her other stuff. I'm like, it's so much fucking work.
Like everyone's like, oh, Naomi knows everything. She knows everything about Superman. That guy who totally doesn't exist in this world. Is this still part of the Arrowverse? Was my next question.
Well, and so that's even more of the weirdness of it. Like the show doesn't seem to exist in any of the universes of the Arrowverse. God, it would be great if this was a Superman and Lois adjacent show. Like that's already a weird universe where Superman's the only guy. Like you could just have this be like a little quiet part of that and just be like Superman's only one Superman.
I was like, wait, so like, is he the only superhero out there? Because I always took for granted that this was part of the Arrowverse. So I was like, it's kind of weird that no one else is mentioned. Like they don't mention the Flash or Green Arrow or anybody else.
It's like in Power Rangers when like a random civilian will be like, monsters aren't real, but it'll be like the 17th episode of the season. And monsters have been attacking literally every episode.
Yeah. You're just like, interesting. How did you guys never notice this before?
But all right, so they do the party scene. We establish some of this stuff. Then we have the opening credits. My God. They are this is some cheap ass opening credits. Like, looks way worse than like most of the CW opening credits that I've ever seen. Like, it took me back to My Secret Identity, the Jerry O'Connell show that he did before Sliders.
It's just like, I was like, man, they really, really didn't put a lot into this. But then it's Ava DuVernay's show, so it's like, I'm very confused what the thought process was behind a lot of the creative choices they made here.
Yeah. There is one thing that I want to shout out as being really fucking good. So they have this whole thing where like Naomi rushes out to find out what's going on when she gets a text message that something related to Superman is happening outside. And everyone's fine with it because Naomi's so goddamn cool and so responsible that if she's rushing off because of something important, it must be something important. We trust her. So she rushes off. She misses it because she gets a headache and passes out. And then she collects footage from people in it and so forth. And what she does that's really cool is she gets every single camera's footage from the time and then uses a computer to like sort them algorithmically by like timestamps.
Yeah.
And then stitches together the video of the fight that Superman has from like all these different camera feeds. And that looks really cool. Like, there's lots of different, really cool. It cuts to lots of different people having reactions. It's very found footagey, but like in a way that's like actually really impressive. I like, it's a way to like cheapen out the budget on the fight, but it certainly like looked pretty good and was paced really well. Like, I just in general, like that sequence blew me away.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause she got her ex-boyfriend to help her piece all that together. And I was like, well, okay, cool. This is okay. Maybe we're going to get somewhere with this now. We didn't get anywhere with that.
No, well, they do actually get somewhere, but the show doesn't get anywhere. That was this like one highlight in this episode. And I needed to shout it out because it's really good. It's really good in the pilot. Like, it's incredibly clever.
Well, when I watched it, I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. Because in the comic, like, Superman is there fighting Mongol. And I was like, oh, are we going to like introduce like other like Superman characters in this show? Are we going to get like a glimpse of Mongol in like a TV show here? Nope. No, of course not. And I was like, my hopes shattered on the rocks.
Well, and this is where the one of my hopes for the show, which was a successful depiction of D, gets shattered because this is where we introduce him. I have so many questions about what happens. They see him in the footage and they're like, "That's D from the tattoo parlor," and that's all they say. And I'm just like, for one thing, again, he looks terrible. Like he's just like in this like tight leather jacket outfit kind of thing. And it's just like, it looks like very like early 2000s X-Men.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. Yeah,
it does. I never thought about that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But the weird part about the whole scene is that they actually have like Superman acknowledging him. So I was like, wait, because Superman kind of like waves him off and like flies off. And I was like, wait, how does Superman know this dude? That's where I was more focused on. I was like, how does Superman know this guy?
I mean, also a part of this, but they're just like, that's D from the tattoo parlor. And these are kids in high school. There's no reason that they should know on a first name basis the guy from a tattoo parlor. And the tattoo parlor is not called D's.
No, it is not.
So like, it would make more sense if it's a mechanic. You're more likely to have had a reason to have brought it over to the mechanic, or to have someone said, I'll have D take a look at my car, or something to that effect. The tattoo parlor guy, which I can only imagine is because, like, well, the one characteristic of the character from the comic book, aside from the fact that he's an alien, is he had a bunch of tattoos.
Well, he's like 8 feet tall.
Oh yeah, exactly. Which they don't go for, and it's like, it's like not a shrimp, but like not, he's just not a particularly large guy.
No. Yeah, the tattoo guy. I was like, okay. Once again, you see the inspirations from the comic in here. Like they were working with something, but like they just kind of went off the wall with it in a complete different direction.
It's like, I have to wonder, considering how quickly this got made, if they were going off of notes for what ultimately became the scripts for the comics, as opposed to going off of the full comic scripts themselves, let alone the actual drawings.
I don't know,
because the timetable for this is like again, they must have had the pilot greenlit before the first issue dropped, because it's only like a year later that the show's being made.
Oof. Oof.
It's just wild. So I wonder if they had no way of knowing what D in the comic books looked like, and they just had a note that he has a lot of tattoos, and they're like, how do we make this simpler? Which I don't know how, like, the tattoo parlor is simpler than the mechanic.
No, a mechanic? No.
I mean, I guess, like, if you're just trying to film on like an office on your like back lot, like, yeah, you just need to put in like a chair for the tattoo part, as opposed to like a bunch of cars.
Here's the thing, though. You know what they could have given him? The car shop that Zawarudo or Zabunda, whatever his name is, had.
That's true. That's true. And that's
because he has the car shop and D has the tattoo shop.
Yes. And that's another detail, which is the Zumbaru character, a fake out villain, is my understanding, having done some more research into how the full season goes. So like they're going off of your assumption. And this is another spot where I'm like, well, but if he's the big bad in the comic, it's really weird that he's not the big bad in the show.
He's just like
that he's like actually an ally. Guy.
Yeah. So I think I was like, what is happening in this show? I have so many questions, and I feel like I'm never ever going to get the answers.
No, and nor should you at this point, because the show not only was canceled, I really hope that no one wants to revive this, because this is not very good, and
it needs a complete redo.
But I don't even think
they're going to do this.
Like, Naomi needs to not be a live action show. No. Like, what they need to do is they need to do an animated show that does something visually interesting in a way that is evocative of Campbell's art in the comic.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
If they wanted to do something like they need like a Static Shock, like
I was going to say My Adventures type thing.
Well, yes, but specifically thinking about the McDuffie part of it, like where like Static Shock did a lot to make that character like live on. Like Static is the character people know if they know anything about Milestone Comics. And that's because he is the one character who had a cartoon and has been able to like cross over and really like transition into the mainstream DC in a way that's been really effective. Like Naomi just needs a show where she can just be an up and coming teen superhero. I think that the show decompresses a comic that was already too decompressed. Because like think about like Smallville. Like Smallville, I think, is like a really apt comparison show because it's a high school character with ridiculous superpowers and a weird secret. Like because it's a decompressed Superman show. But like we get most of the powers stuff. We get the iconic shot of Clark like with the S painted on him and the kryptonite like necklace. We get a lot of things that are like Superman iconography in the first episode. This show doesn't pay it off well. Like the only thing that pays it off is that like D like reveals his Thanagarian wings at the end of the episode, and like that's the only like hook if you're here for like superhero stuff.
Because like there are. Because then you have you also have the confrontation in the woods where she picks up the disc.
Right, yeah, which is like clearly just like a spray painted like weight.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god. I saw it. I remember when I saw it the first time. I was like, okay, she's gonna find the cube, and I was like, is that a weight? They really just put like runes on a weight, spray painted it, and called it a day. I was like, I hate this. I hate this so much.
Oh, we didn't talk about the debate, the actual debate she had, which is terrible. Her debate opponent has this like very succinct, like, I'm going to like argue this position. And then like Naomi does this like long monologue that would
about working together or something.
Right. Which would certainly be like called for time. It's like a solid minute. And the other person has like 10 seconds.
I think they said they were given how much time were they given for the practice thing? Because I think the teacher said they were only going to have a certain amount of seconds per answer, if I remember correctly. It's when she runs out to go see Superman, he's like going over the rules, and she kind of ignores him and flies out.
Well, and that would also be another thing, which is that like if everyone cheers, which like if she got in trouble for like doing that kind of a monologue, that would be funny. Like, because she does this whole like, we're going to make the world a better place because we have the ability to choose who we are, and it's not just our genes. Which like, Christ, man. So earlier in my notes to you, I wrote, oh my God, she's Poochie, because she is exactly that, where it's like, we're going to just make a character who is just good at everything, including fucking skateboarding, just for the sake of being like as cool as possible.
Oh my gosh. And they do like the whole, I was laughing when I was watching this. I was like, she doesn't find out about her parents or anything like it goes in the comics. In the comics, she doesn't innately have her abilities. Her abilities are kind of unlocked when she finds the MacGuffin in the book. Here, they do like the whole Superman Returns Jonathan Kent thing, where he has like the asthma. He's kind of sickly and frail, but then like when Lois is in trouble on the ship, his powers like flare up. He throws the piano at the guy. Here, she has like the asthma attack while she's running to go see Superman. And that's kind of like her powers kind of awakening. Mm-hmm. And so like then like she doesn't have to like wear her glasses anymore because like she can see everything now.
Oh yeah, there was a telescopic X-ray vision scene.
Yeah,
that surprised me because they just sort of happens. And then my understanding is that there's like a later episode where it like unlocks for her again, which is just sort of like one of those like, oh, you guys weren't really paying attention to like what powers you gave her at any given time.
Nope. So I was like, oh, okay. They're just kind of letting her like, oh, I don't need these anymore. I'm becoming even more perfect.
Yeah. I want to call out the fact that she has this big group of friends in this TV show that...
First of all, for Case, they aren't friends.
Okay. They
are
friends.
Admirers.
Okay, yes, they are admirers for her. And they don't really all like each other.
No.
But yes, so, including because she's bi, lesbian
comic
book
yeah,
store owner or store worker. So like literally everyone wants to get in Naomi's pants.
Yeah, like everybody. Within like Case wasn't lying. Within like the first 7 minutes of the show, there's at least 7 people who are trying to hook up with Naomi.
And four of them are like serious contenders.
Yeah. And like her parents have like a conversation with her at the dinner table about it, and her dad's like, "Oh, you're dating more than one person?" And she's like, "I'm not dating people. They're just like my friends. And I like everybody." And her dad's like, "Huh?"
Right, which, you know, could be a very mature time to have a conversation about being poly, but
yeah,
that is not the conversation that they were having here. She's just too cool to have any serious boyfriend at the moment or girlfriend.
She likes being appreciated by everybody.
Yes. But so she assembles her admirers to like break into Zumbato's car dealership for some fucking reason.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why is he there already?
Well, my bigger point is that she has this giant posse, and they all like the majority, like one is on lookout, and the rest of them all go inside, as opposed to having like 5 people on lookout and 2 people to break inside, because they need the girl Lourdes, right, from the comic shop. Like they need her because she's able to pick locks. Cool, but everyone else who comes in is just like an extra flashlight to be seen from outside.
Yeah.
So I messaged you. That's a big group for some B&E.
Yeah, Yeah, like I was like, wow, they really like Ocean's 11, or they tried to Ocean's 11 this with like the worst way possible because they're all making so much noise.
Yeah, it's like if you tried to have everyone in the party be Rusty
Yeah,
and have no one else to do any of the other jobs.
it's not even, like you said, they're not even trying to be sneaky. They're just like flashlights out, opening every door, not closing anything quietly, swinging doors open, going through papers, slamming doors, and they have like the little unicorn like walkie-talkies.
Yeah, I thought that was a cute detail, actually. It was not a plausible detail, but it was cute enough. Like that.
Yeah. Where are they going to get like high tech like walkie talkies? And the guy was like, my little sister had these, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Now that said, not that like you actually really need walkies for that kind of situation.
No.
In fact, I would say walkies are probably more easily cracked into, since like those frequencies are going to be, especially on like a kid's one, like a professional grade one should be able to like lock onto. And so like theoretically a cop going by should be able to like find their signal and be like, what is this conversation going on, versus just fucking texting each other.
They've been great. They all have phones.
Yeah. Like
two people could have walkie talkies.
That was the other thing. The fact that they had that many walkie talkies surprised me. I was like, that kid set probably had 4 at most.
You're just like, oh, okay, cool. Because you don't need that many people.
Or like I said, certainly not all of them on the inside.
And like when Mbadu shows up, they're like, oh crap, he's here. And they kind of like wait till he passes by in the car and they all sprint out. And like, if he had only looked back in his rearview mirror once.
Well, then I found this line funny because they like shout out, split up into different directions, and they all just run the same way.
Yeah. Scatter.
Anyway, so they go back and confront D again, and this is when he actually reveals that he has like the Thanagarian wings, and he's like, what is the right question, Naomi? And she goes like, who am I?
Fade to black.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is so bad.
Yeah, I don't know how this show got made. Like, if this was the pilot, like, it must have been like a full season greenlit and not like a pilot, because this is not a good episode.
Not a good series. There's, like I said, you can see where they were getting inspiration from for certain things from the comic, but then they kind of went loosey-goosey with everything else. They're like, well, what if we did this? What if we made them all military instead of having them be weird alien people? What if we had 18 people in love with her? What if we made her the best at everything? What if we like? I appreciate the fact that she was just like a normal kid with like lots of flaws and everything going on, because he's just a normal teenager going about her normal life in rural Oregon. I was like, that's a cool little feature there. And here they just kind of took away that aspect from her and made her the best.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that her dad was an alien.
Yeah, I think when looking at this, like looking at the comic versus the show, like the comic is so strong on its art and kind of being carried by that, and the show doesn't have anything that's equivalent to the art, and it has a couple of weird quirks. The desire to make Naomi like not just overpowered and not just like good at everything, but like the focal point for everything is kind of frustrating. The way they structure a lot of the scenes in the comic are like testimonials from people, and then you catch up with Naomi, who was like the person who missed it.
Yeah.
And she's disappointed and so forth. Instead, we're with Naomi all the time, and so it's only afterwards when she's getting the interviews that we like see other people's perspectives of it, which means that what was already kind of shorthand in a very like in this very decompressed aspect is decompressed even further.
Also, they took away like the little moments with her and her best friend, which I thought was like some of the stronger parts of the book, with her like both of them geeking out about certain things and like are gossiping about certain other things they had found out. And like they don't really do that here. They just give her more time with her admirers.
Right, who are all created for the show.
Yeah. So you never really build up that relationship with her closest friend. Also, I want to point out that Zumbato was always like, there was this one shot where she's sneaking around with her skateboard at 2:00 in the morning in the town square taking pictures. And she hears someone in an alleyway, and she looks down the alleyway and there's no one there. But Zumbato is supposed to be there in the shadows. And then she's like, hello? And she looks down there. And then she's like, she doesn't see anybody. And she turns away. And he's apparently was there the entire time and just walks from where she was staring directly at.
Out of the shadows.
Out of the shadows. And I was like, what is this? I was like, what is this?
Yeah. It is a poorly shot, not very interesting superhero story that came out on the tail end of the CW superhero run where, you know, it's one thing if this had come out in like the mid 90s or something when there was like no superhero fiction on TV.
I don't even know this would have worked in the 90s.
I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's from the 90s.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
but yeah, this is a poor conversion of a thing that was not the most stellar of products to begin with, and whiffs it on the things that should have been the slow pitches. Like, again, the comic is written with a very cinematic style. Like it could have very easily been like shot for shot.
Yeah.
And it would have looked pretty good and like been a fairly effective and slow paced I mean, look, like a comic script translating to a TV show script, I think roughly breaks down to like, it's probably 4 issues for a 40-minute TV, you know, for like an hour long quote unquote TV show that, you know, runs like 48 minutes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember back in the day when there would be like the spin-off comic books, like, for example, the X-Men animated series had a spin-off comic book, or not a spin-off comic book, had a comic book that adapted the issues or the episodes into issues, which friend of the show, Chris Batista, used to be an artist on. Like, that was roughly 1 episode of the animated series was 2 issues of the comic. And so going off of that math, then if this was an hour-long show, which again goes down to like 48, so that'd be about 4 issues translates into 1 episode. And so I think with like a little bit of futzing, you could have split this up into like the first 3 issues could have been the pilot, and then the next 3 would have been the next issue after that, or the next episode after that, maybe like a filler episode or something in there. Let me see what
I don't know. I feel like you were right when this could have literally been a shot for shot of the comic.
Right. But I'm saying if you're doing a shot for shot, like you could get through the first 3 issues
in the first episode,
and you would get through, let's see, where does the parents stuff come in?
The parents stuff comes in at 4. I think at 4.
Yeah. So the conclusion of the first issue would be the dad revealing that he's an alien. Or the conclusion of the pilot would be the dad revealing that he's an alien. And then you would open the second episode with then the blitz of Naomi getting her stuff, the revelation about Zumbato. Yeah. I mean, you could do, you would get 2 episodes out of that. Now,
this could have been a limited run miniseries. Or a new character.
That's the thing that is really weird when we get into why they made this into a TV show. It's not like they have a lot of stuff to draw on. Like, the decompressed opening arc of this book is barely enough for the pilot, because it was barely enough for a single issue of a comic book that somehow got turned into 6 issues. So like it's just a weird angle, because like, well, what are you going to do to fill it out? Like, I was thinking a lot of the TV show, or like the Hulu show version of Runaways, because I was thinking about that one where like that's another like young, like a YA kind of focus book that had, you know, a bit of decompression going on in the storytelling as it was presented as a comic book, but was carried by a lot of good art and a lot of good dialogue and good character stuff. And then has a TV show that I don't think is particularly good. Now, it's a show that I watched 3 seasons of, but I don't, it's not a particularly good TV show.
It's a guilty pleasure for you.
because I like the comic a lot, I stuck with it. But that was another like kind of low budget show that like didn't look that good for what they were trying to do based on a work that was mostly carried by good art.
Sure.
And that at least has the benefit of there was a lot of material. Like for one thing, it had a large cast that had like each of their own interesting backstories to sort of like mine. But there were arcs. There were a lot of arcs to like kind of draw on. Like Naomi didn't have a lot of arcs. Naomi is not like, to compare it again with Smallville. Smallville could do any story from Superboy's past, plus the whole setup for the show creates like the Monster of the Week format that they had access to for the first couple seasons. They could do a lot of different kinds of Superman stories, building towards like eventually he becomes Superman, right? Mm-hmm. Naomi, they had fucking nothing. Like they had the one story of her origin, which again is covered. It's like effectively is the same as the first page of Action Comics #1.
True. Yeah.
Now, like we get a lot more detail, and it's better told here than in the first page of Action Comics #1. But it is doing the Superman story in just a very decompressed way. So as a show, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, well, what stories are you going to fall back on? Like, what are you going to do with the rest of your stories? Like with the rest of your episodes? Like
you're going to create random BS to put in their case.
Exactly.
Give her 30 admirers and call it a day.
Just going back to the Superman movie with like his super harem, like
yeah,
like it's that, but for Naomi.
It's like they really were like, oh, we don't really have that much information, like you said, and you're just like, what do we do now? How about we try this? How about we try this too? And it all worked out poorly, very, very poorly. Like you said, I guess there wasn't a lot of planning that went for this. They're like, hey, this is a great idea. We should totally make a series about this. And everyone was like, yeah, that'll work. That'll totally work. When did the comic come out? A year ago?
And it's one that was done. It wasn't even an ongoing series because like it was broken up into season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
Like it's just there again, it's just so little story and they have nothing to really like pull from. But that said, I do think that this is worth us talking on the show because I do think that like both the show and the comic is doing a Superman story very, very muddled, particularly in the case of the show. But they're doing a Superman story and like finding ways to like have twists on it and so forth and to like sort of space it out, which is kind of cool. Like I am overall here for a like we're gonna really like slow play the reveal of our super character in especially like live action media. I said in the comic probably should have gotten to the point faster.
Yeah.
But that like it's certainly a worthwhile thought, like as an experiment. Like I'm happy that it exists and it's enjoyable when you read it all in the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Naomi as a character, I think she's a little too perfect even in the comic book at everything, which is kind of a shame because you can write a character like that, but it does present like certain challenges that you have to be very creative to work around.
Yeah.
And like ways that you can get around that is like you can have them have bad luck. You can have them be clumsy. You can have them have to be just like emotionally sensitive and aware of the impact that they have on their peers. And I don't even feel like Naomi's that, especially not in the show. She's not a particularly good person, even though they kind of write her as if she's supposed to be the moral paragon that everyone looks up to.
Yeah. I always laugh is when like she figures out that she can see without her glasses, and like after the debate, like her friends like going on like trying to ask her questions and everything, and she completely like zones her out, and it's like she's hyper focused on what the person had on that little note, and her friends like having this whole conversation with her, like asking her questions, all this, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can see where that paper says," and she's completely blowing her friend off.
Yeah. I felt bad about the Annabelle character in the show.
Yeah.
I felt bad about it. I felt bad for the actress because I have to imagine like that she's probably like a lovely person in the real world, but by like TV standards, she's like the dumpy friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like that's just a tough slot to be in right there, because you're playing on the CW where most of the people are like models who are not necessarily the best actors. But she was pretty good. I liked her. I liked her as a character, and the character I like, the Annabelle, the one character who's both in the comics and in the show. I rather enjoyed, and they don't develop her enough.
No, they don't. They just kind of like leave her behind, which kind of sucks because like she's a pretty cool, quirky character for Naomi in the book. And they have this really cool relationship where they kind of like geek out about all that stuff together. And then it just doesn't go anywhere in the show at all. Once again, nothing doesn't really go in that show.
Yeah. But yeah, like Naomi, I would like to see more of her in modern DC stuff. Like, I think that she's got a good look with a cool power signature, and those are both useful things for crowd shots. I think that she has the potential to be, at the very least, like an interesting player in the bigger kind of competitive scenes when they need a lot of like heavy hitters. And the fact that she's so young and inexperienced is like a nice detail to sort of like allow her to not be like overpowering for anyone she comes face to face with.
I just, like you said, they put her in too much stuff too fast, too quick and too fast, and she didn't really get a chance to grow into anything.
Yeah,
that's what sucks most about that as a whole. Because like if she was able to like grow into and learn how to like be a part of the teamwork and be a part of her own little group for a while, she would probably be a much easier character to latch onto and for people to grow with. But they were like, here you go, here's a new character, enjoy, and kind of threw her out there before she was ready. So, and like you said, along with the show doing so poorly,
right?
She kind of like disappeared.
Yeah, it definitely created a situation where she has to go. Her planet needs her. To conclude the Poochie reference.
I must go. My planet needs me. But it sucks. I like her. I like this character. It's a really fun little quirky character. And I was like, we should probably talk about this game.
Yeah, like again, like the comic is gorgeous. Like it's all on the app. So if you're curious, like if you're listening to us and you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, it's not a bad read when you just like are reading the 6 issues of season 1. It's a quick read. The fact that it's 6 issues is kind of frustrating, but the fact that you're not waiting between issues is pretty nice. And so like it is gorgeous, and you can see what we're talking about with this character. She doesn't do enough in the book, but like at least it's an interesting enough story, even though it should have not been this many issues. Christ. But I swear,
I'm all for great pictures and great art, Case. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I'm all for more of this art style.
More of this art, but I would love more of this art where like stuff is happening. There's too many like really gorgeous shots of people talking. Yeah. But that's to be expected with Brian Michael Bendis stuff. And again, I don't dislike all of Brian Michael Bendis stuff. I have really enjoyed a lot of stuff he has worked on. It's just a situation where like once you can see the creator's bugs, it is very hard to unsee them. And this is a really big showpiece for a lot of those bugs.
I like it for what it is. But yeah, I had my curiosity satiated and happy that I saw that trailer and was like, what is this? What is this show that's coming out? And I found the book and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Wish I'd never watched the show.
Yeah.
I didn't need that show in my life, but
I do feel worse having seen the show now. Because like we've been talking about this for years, and so I read like a couple of years ago the comic in preparation for this episode, and then had to reread it for now. The show was the reason why it took so long, because I like just dragged my heels on getting to that, And having finally done so, and now seen it technically twice, but I'm definitely sure that I like fell asleep like somewhere at the beginning of the show, because like last night was me like taking good notes and like remembering everything that was going on in this, because like it is a show that I feel worse for having watched.
Yeah. There's a reason why I get canceled halfway through.
Yep.
But,
so Jmike, you feeling good?
Yeah. I enjoy the book for what it is. The show can never be seen again. But the book, it's a nice, quick little read. It's a little fun story. Nothing super gonna blow your socks off or anything. But if you like for a quick read, it's good to go.
Yeah, and like I said, it looks really good.
Yeah. It looks wonderful.
Cool.
But that show.
No. It's rough. It's really rough. Yeah. Well, I think this is enough kicking a dead horse.
Is it though? Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you wanted to bring up about either the comic or the show?
I think we covered everything. Yeah, I think we got it all. Give the comic a try. It's not gonna, like I said, it's not gonna blow your socks off, but it's a fun little read. Give it a try. See if you like it. It's a fun little almost Superman story.
Yeah, very almost Superman. Very like shockingly so. I mean, like it's very coded that way on purpose. And most of it's fun. It's funny that we're saying it's a quick story, but at the same time, it takes too long to do everything. It's just mind-blowing that it's 6 issues. They are fast reads because nothing happens in any of them. Just reread issue 4 while we were talking, and it like literally fucking nothing happens in the issue aside from like someone explaining their backstory, which did not need like that to be the whole
entire issue.
Yeah. So, you know, there's that.
Maybe you do need to do another pass for this show.
I need to stay away from this show because it makes my blood pressure boil.
Yeah. Maybe that's even more of a reason to do it.
All right. So, Jmike, where can people find you and follow you?
Oh, man. You can find me on Blue Sky. On the Blue Sky at j5.bluesky.social. And you can also find me on the Discord, where I have been more recently. So, I've been checking in and commenting on things and liking things, Case. So, I did the thing.
Yes, you have. And the Discord is a great place to talk to either of us because we have really fun conversations going just all the time about comics, video games, literature, music, like tons of great conversations going on. Sports for the people who care about sports. The Discord is a great place to go, and you should check that out if you are not currently a member of the CPOV Discord. You can find a link in the show notes or on our website, which is certainpov.com. As for me, you can find me on most of the socials at Case Aiken, except for Instagram, where I'm holding on for dear life for my AIM screen name, which is Quetzalcoatl5, Quetzalcoatl 5. But yeah, like Blue Sky is a great place to find me. Instagram's fine. I'm still on all the social medias and I still check my notifications. So those are all good places to check that out. We have some people to thank because we have a Patreon going now, which has really helped us keep the show going. So we have people who joined at the executive producer tier that we have to thank. And that includes Micah McCaw, Carter Hout, Sean Muir, Lee Greger, Memento Young, Logan Crowley, Joe Mastropiero, Casey and Nancy Aiken, Adam Samter, and Keith Lettinen. So those are all awesome people. And if you want to be like them and support the show, you can join at any of the paid tiers on our Patreon, and that would be really appreciated. That unlocks all kinds of stuff. And by all kinds of stuff, I mean like previews of the show that we're putting out, early episodes of the Superman analog videos. And it also gets all the things at the free tier. And at the free tier and above, you get access to 2 weekly essays that I write, as well as additional content that we are coming up with on the fly. But the weekly essays are, one is about whatever I feel like, and another one is tabletop role-playing games related. So D&D for the most part. But yeah, the Patreon is a great place to support us, either at a free tier or at a paid tier. We would really love to have you. Yeah. In the meantime, you should check out some of the stuff we're working on. The show I'm going to plug today is my own show because we are launching Trade School, which will be out for several months by the time this episode actually drops, but has not actually dropped by the time we're recording this. Trade School is like Side Quest, which is the Certain Point of View video game podcast where a guest host talks about a video game. Trade School is that, but for comic books, where a guest host comes on and for 5 to 15 minutes talks about a trade paperback comic that they love and why they have warm feelings about it. And that can be because of the story, or it can be because of things that happen in their lives. But either way, it's a really big celebration of comics and like why they mean something to us. So check out Trade School. It's on its own RSS feed, so its own podcast feed, but it's on the same YouTube feed as this. So if you're watching this on YouTube right now, it's just another playlist on the same feed. So check that out. It's a really exciting project that I'm really happy to have so many people submitting stuff at this point. We've got the first 15 episodes in the can. It's a really exciting project that's getting a lot of good attention, and it hasn't even launched yet. So I'm excited to see where it's at when this episode actually drops. Otherwise, you should check out some of the new shows that join Certain Point of View. We had Long Live the Legion and We Have Issues both formally joined the network. So those are good things to check out. We talked about the socials. We talked about the website. I think that covers everything. So until next time, stay super, man.
Men of Steel is a Certain POV production. Our hosts are Jmike Folson and Case Aiken. The show is edited by Sophia Ricciardi. Our logo is by Chris Batista, and episode art is by Case Aiken. Our theme is by Geoff Moonen.
Digging for Kryptonite is a weekly podcast series hosted by yours truly, Anthony Desiato, examining Superman's vast mythology across time and media. If you have a favorite story, creator, or adaptation, chances are we've covered it over the past 200-plus episodes. I've interviewed creators including Mark Waid, Dan Jurgens, Jeff Loeb, Joe Kelly, and many more. Whether you're a lifelong Superman fan like me, or you're new to the character, we have you covered. Subscribe to Digging for Kryptonite wherever you get podcasts, and remember, it's about what you do. It's about action.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.